Hi, Dr. Catalina Grija. Thank you so much for joining us today. So good to have you here.
My pleasure.
Awesome. I'm looking so forward to diving deep into this. This is going to be an incredible session, guys. Let's welcome today to Coach Launch. We're chatting with Dr. Catalina Grija, a board certified medicine practitioner that's gone from working in the medical field into functional medicine, who's transforming lives through her deep expertise in preventative medicine and nutrigenics. Dr. Grija's passion for education and her commitment to addressing the root cause of health issues have made her a beacon of hope for many. She empowers women in the ages around about 30 to 50 years old, helping them overcome metabolic conditions and mindset barriers to achieve healthier and more fulfilling lives. Let's discover how she's making a big difference in the world with her innovative new approach. Excellent. Thank you so much. So let's take a little bit of a step back, Catalina, and look at how this all started. Can you share with us what inspired your journey from practicing traditional medicine to embracing this functional medicine that you're working with now?
Absolutely. My pleasure to be here, Matthew. I started kind of contemplating functional medicine when we tried some supplements. And actually, my husband had the most amazing result because his blood pressure improved tremendously. And until then, I was thinking that,
So your husband has been struggling with high blood pressure, right? Was this affecting his health or affecting his life in any way?
so, well, just the fact that, you have to take two medications. He was taking at that time two medications
Right.
for blood pressure, and you're in your early 50s, late 40s, and it's like, okay, this is going to be forever for me. And
Wow.
there's no chance of getting rid of these medications. And what are the consequences of a high blood pressure per se, and then of being on these medications?
Medications, yeah. So he was prescribed this series of medications for the rest of his life because he had high blood pressure. And from the story he was being told, there was no context of coming off of this medication.
Right.
And that's frustrating. Tell me what that felt like or what that meant.
So it was literally like constrictive feeling. You're not free. You have to take this forever because otherwise, in traditional medicine, there is no other solution. And if you don't take the medications, you may have a stroke, a heart attack, kidney failure. So all these severe consequences, possible complications from uncontrolled high blood pressure.
And what are the consequences of continuing taking that type of medication? Is there any risk or adverse side effects from these?
Well, all medications may have some side effects. Fortunately for him, he did not have any side effect. But in the long run, some do have different types of side effects, absolutely. But you always have to put in balance the risk and the benefit. So the
Yeah.
risk of high blood pressure much higher than the risk of the medications, and the benefits of controlling the blood pressure definitely outweigh.
But you're obviously concerned about the idea of taking chemicals into your system for years and years. Is there another solution, right? Is that where you're at?
Yes, absolutely. And when we took these supplements and I saw that his blood pressure came down tremendously, and we were able to cut one of his medications completely out,
Wow.
that was big hope for me that there's another world out there. There is something else that can be done besides just taking a pill and putting a band-aid on a problem. Let's try to fix it.
Mm. Yeah. Amazing. So you kind of had an aha moment at this point, right?
Yeah.
My goodness, I've been working with all these doctors and there's medications and they're supposed to be the only solution. All of a sudden you've discovered through your husband taking different supplementation that he was able to change his whole state and improve his well-being. Instead of taking chemicals that might have side effects, he's just using natural supplements.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift for a lot of people. I know my dad was very similar. He spent years on these heart medications, and the doctors told him, that's it, right? You've got to stick with this. That's the only way you're going to be able to survive. Because if you have high blood pressure, and like you said before, the fear of strokes, the fear of, things going wrong. And he listened to these practitioners and just did this thing. Now, over the years, number one, that medication started getting very expensive for him. As you get older, you're retired, and the cost of that can be quite extraordinary. And also on top of that, he felt that he was just toxifying his body over and over again. And he didn't want to be like that. He's a church-going man of God, and he wanted to have a clean life. And a very similar story happened that you explained there. The natural medications the natural supplements that he started taking replaced the chemicals that he was being given by these doctors, and it changed his life so much so that he's also on this trajectory. So I can totally relate to the story of what you're saying. And I've experienced it. My mum, as well, in this environment, was like, she hated the idea of my dad taking these pills all the time. And it was a fear-based reliance, right? It was like, if I don't take the thing, I might die. So he had to constantly do this thing, and it built this psychological thing inside of him. And so he was just listening to what everyone else was telling him. But when he decided, well, it was my mom that convinced him and said, hey, let's try something different. Let's just try, let's see if this works and do something natural. And when she did that, like, everything changed. And it's a real testament to that there is an alternative world out there of doing things, as functional medicine, which is real, tangible, and actually can help some people change their lives, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me, what was the turning point from your career? Because you've made a big shift in your career from working in traditional medicine to now working in functional medicine. What does that journey look like, and what is the motivations around all of this?
So it was a difficult journey, definitely. But I had decided, and actually COVID came exactly at that time when I had decided already to transition. From my point of view, I was able to focus actually better on that transition and on functional medicine studying. And like any change, right? For things to change, we have to change. So I think any change requires us to be flexible and committed, because I dove pretty deeply there, without the busy practice for a few months. I had to be very strong, and I had to have good support from my family. And a lot of people didn't understand, why are you doing this? Because a lot of doctors, they're not open to integrative, to functional medicine. And they're just, stay with the system and, follow the rules and live your life however possible. And yeah, I was tired of that. And I was frustrated also because, again, my passion is preventive medicine and weight management. And I was tired of failing at helping my patients actually stay healthy, lose the weight, conquer diabetes or prevent diabetes. And I did not like medications too much, like especially weight loss medications. I was not a fan of
Mm,
bariatric surgery for weight loss, but some people
mm.
needed it and they were desperate. And I did not have the right tools at that time. I did not know about mindset and natural ways and these special tests that we can do to find out exactly what works and why are you struggling. There's not a cookie
Gotcha.
cutter, solution, right? That works for.
Yeah. In this day and age, let's just take a step back. Can you explain to me, because maybe there's a question in the air, what is the difference between traditional medicines and functional medicine? Can you kind of give us a little bit of an understanding of that so we're clear on that first?
Sure, absolutely. In traditional medicine, we do routine blood work and we address medical conditions, so diagnosis. And we use blood tests that usually have a certain range, pretty wide range, some of them. And as long as everything is in the range, all good. And then when a diagnosis sets in, you treat it with certain medications. And they're the same medications for everybody, with, of course, variation depending on the situation. In functional medicine, you go to the root of symptoms. Maybe diagnosis already, but if a person is healthy and is just like, something's not right, I'm tired, but all my blood tests are normal. We go to the root of the problems with genetic testing and gut health investigations and cellular micronutrients and inflammatory food and dynamic hormonal testing so that you see exactly what's happening. It's almost like you're opening the book and you see exactly what's happening in that person's body from really deep down, like a cellular level. And then you have
Right.
all the tools to fix that. So it's
Right.
totally
So
different
this,
approach.
let's take a step into that. So are these tests invasive? Are they difficult to do? Is it expensive? Like, how does this look? Like, I'm sure that most people think, okay, I do need to get myself checked. I need to know what's happening inside my body. Like, it's obvious that this whole new world of technology is available to us to look at different things that we've looked at in the past. But explain to me, is this complicated? Like, what does it look like, really?
It's not complicated. I usually do with everybody a full evaluation, and that takes, 2 hours, not half an hour, like a regular annual physical. And we find out exactly what's happening in that person's life and since when. And again, we go to the root thing of things, which could be
Yeah.
psychological, right? And the testing is determined based on the need. And these are, blood tests or, stool samples or urine tests, things that you can do at home, basically. So it's very easy. And the cost associated, everything is between roughly, 160 and 300 some dollars. So
Yeah.
not a huge investment. Of course, these tests are not covered by insurances usually, but some may be. But they're covered by special, programs like health savings account, flexible spending account. Those usually cover
Yeah.
those things.
However, from my perspective, you can't really put a price on your health, can you? You can't really put a price on longevity or living better. And I think that context is important to understand. It's like, okay, there might be costs involved, but if you can change your life, like if you're struggling with something or you're struggling with some physical condition, mindset condition, why would you put a price on that, right? You got to get yourself sorted into a place of living better, living fuller, living healthier, right? Isn't that?
Absolutely. I mean, the cost of not doing it, going back to your dad, for example, right? He was thinking, okay, I have to stay on all these medications for so long. And people don't realize that if they don't invest to stay healthy, they will definitely pay a lot to for their when they're sick, when they have all this illness,
Yeah.
and the cost of not doing anything is much higher. Definitely. And health is our wealth, right?
Exactly right. You want to live healthy, live longer, have your children around, be able to keep up with your children. It was probably about 10 years, 11 years ago now. I struggled with obesity. I struggled with losing weight for many, many years. My genetics is terrible. I look at a cookie and I put on weight. So I had my daughter. My daughter was just born. And, I was taking her to these play centers, right? Because I live in an area, there was a lot of gardens and that. So we would go to these centers. Plus, it was good to be around other people. And what I noticed straight away, like I wanted to be engaged with my daughter. I wanted to play with her and have fun with her and run around with her. And like, it's the thing that just, I wanted to do that. And I would be in these play centers and there's all these parents and all they're doing is on their mobile phone, right? They're just like down like this. And I'm like, that's not who I want to be. Like I want to be out there running around with my child. So I started doing that. But because I was so overweight, I was out of breath in like 5 minutes. Like I couldn't keep it. And I was like, I need to make a difference. If I wanted to make a difference, or if I want to be a role model to my child and give her the best opportunity in life, I've got to show her. Like how I was at that place was depressing. It felt terrible. I was being a bad role model. And for me, I didn't want that at all. And so I had to make that big decision. And listening to what you're saying and taking that, like, it wasn't about cost for me. It was like, what do I have to do to make this happen? What I have to do to get myself in a better place in my life so that I can show my daughter a better life, a better world, right? And I'm a very big fan of functional medicine, just by the way. Like, this is a really big topic for me, and I love this. And it's been 10 years, 12, nearly 11 years now. And I've been in best performance of my life since that moment. And it was because I made that decision. And functional medicine allows that, right? It gives you the capacity to be in control healthily and naturally of your life. And being able to pass that on to my daughter, like, it's been life changing. So,
Amazing. Yeah.
what are the challenges that you might be facing kind of getting this message through to other people? Like, because there's a lot of stigma out there, right? There's a lot of media telling us all these things and stories. Like, what are the barriers? What are the things that you're hearing from people and how you're breaking through those?
So a lot of people are used to the traditional medicine where they have this problem, they're given a medication, and they don't have to put in any effort. But in functional medicine, you have to follow the instructions based on your testing. So you have to eat a certain way. You have to avoid certain food. So it is more work involved, but you're the blueprint for your life, right? So
Mm.
some people are not comfortable with that. Some people don't trust supplements because in the media, the big pharma and all those advertisements were, oh, supplements are not they're not monitored, they're not safe, but the medications are. Well,
Morning.
well, we have everybody knows about some of the major side effects with certain medications, and they were not discovered until too many people were using them, right? So the involvement, the trust, and then the financial involvement, because yes, they have to pay out of pocket. Yes, again, supplements and testing is not covered. They're not covered unless they have this specific health savings account. And
Yeah.
some people, again, don't want to spend money on health care that's supposed to be insurance covered. So they're not supposed to,
Yeah.
they're not, they don't expect to pay anything for their health. So it's
Right.
expectation
Interesting.
also. Yeah.
So, and how do you, so there's some, I mean, there's a lot of depth in there. Let's highlight some of them. So there's obviously Big Pharma that's spreading a lot of, propaganda
Yeah.
to promote their products. The supplement companies are, there's obviously supplement companies out there that haven't done themselves justice. But I'm assuming you're on the context of not all supplements are equal. You have to be mindful of the right supplements and looking at quality and versus cost. So you've got these barriers, and people are with media these days. It's like it's just all over. Like, there's so much noise and information coming at us. How do you help people understand that the pathway, the right pathways? How do you get people over that through those barriers?
Well, I see people that are tired of guessing and trying and failing and maybe have temporary gains, and then they fail again, they start all over, and maybe they wasted
Mm.
already money on medications or programs and nothing worked. They don't know yet why things happen to them, and they're frustrated.
Yeah.
Some of them had side effects with medications. And then they say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not taking another drug ever in my life. Some
Yeah.
of them see other people that had tremendous success and they see their transformation, and they come to see me based on their recommendation and what they, witnessed. So I'm trying to educate also, posting on Facebook. I'm doing master classes, or doing, videos, webinars, and trying to open the eyes to people that, hey, maybe your blood tests were, incorrectly interpreted,
Yeah.
by the traditional medicine, or there is
Um,
another world out there.
yeah, yeah, that's right. And so it sounds to me that in order to get the best value for people to kind of understand this process, is they need to go through a testing process, or they need to get the genetics, their bloods, that kind of stuff tested the right way.
Yeah.
So that you have a foundation of knowledge to work from, so that then the people, whoever comes with whatever affliction, can get that sorted based on the root cause that has been discovered because of new technology and stuff and advancements that have happened. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you ensure that your passion for educating your clients is passed over to them? Like, how do you get people motivated in this field of functional medicine? But we've indoctrinated into this old way of thinking, you know, low-fat diets, so what a joke that was, you know, all these things that we've been told in our lives. At one point, smoking was healthy, right? They told us that smoking was healthy. Like, everything has changed. So how do you motivate people, give them the understanding of how important this is to be able to change their life?
I walk them through the life of health versus what they've seen in their families, maybe, which could be disease.
Yeah.
And I try to emphasize that health is really the most important thing, the most important asset. If you don't feel good, if you're sick, nothing else matters. You may have anything else, it doesn't matter. And I try to make them understand that the logic of it. I mean, it's all based on science. We all know we do have genes, and those genes encode, certain proteins, enzymes, and everything. And everything has a reason. If at a cellular level you cannot produce a molecule of energy, how do you want to not be tired all the time? If you don't
Right.
have all the minerals and nutrients, vitamins, everything that you need for this one molecule of energy to be produced, how do you want to function? So when they are able to understand that, all these has a very deep root and there is a chance to feel good, they are open to it. They understand, especially if, depending on the goal also. Like I had a patient who had trouble conceiving. Well, her motivation was huge and we helped her have a baby and it was so easy. Or somebody that is on the brim of diabetes. I don't want that. Again, great motivation. Or somebody that has severe weight problems, severe obesity, and they're starting to have all the complications from that. And they hate how they feel. Again, everybody has different motivations. So you have to dig that out of them and address that particular, you play the right tune for that particular person. You hit the
So
right
good.
string.
So there's obviously a lot of frustration out there around health and wellness. Tell me, you have a system, right? A process that you work with. I think it's called Nutrigenics. Is that correct?
Nutrigenetics.
Nutrigenetics. Tell me a bit about that. What is that all about?
So nutrigenetics is the genetic test. You find out how your body works, basically, based on genetics. So all those genes encode certain enzymes. And you find out how you can change your environment to benefit your body, not to interfere with its function or harm it. So when you know how your liver functions and how much inflammation you have in your body and how all the vitamins are processed and what type of sports are best for you and what types of foods are best for you and what you're intolerant to, um,
Yeah.
You have exactly the manual for health. You know exactly what to do forever.
And is this something that you have created? Is this your system, or is this system that people come to you to and you help them through that process? Explain that to me a bit.
So nutrigenetics is just a test. So it's a finger prick blood test. But
Mm-hmm.
based on the nutrigenetics, I created my program, which is Root to Radiance, from Root to Radiance, where we evaluate the genetics of a person, how the body works. We evaluate their nutrient needs, their gut health, hormonal health, if indicated. And then we make a plan for them, personalized, precise, depending exactly on the results of those tests. So it's literally a DNA based and micronutrient based meal plan. It's not a diet, it's not something like a restrictive thing. It's exactly what's best for you. And people, I think,
Right.
feel so much more likely, they're more compliant
Yeah.
because it's not like, oh, it's just because the doctor says so. No, it's because my
Yeah.
test showed it.
Yeah. So good. So you're taking people through the nutrigenetics process, right? So that they can get this information using that process. Then you're helping them decode that information,
Yes.
because that's the skill that you bring, right? So you're showing them how to decode that information, which is readily available. Then what happens? This route to radiance, what does that look like? Talk to me about that process.
So we do these tests, we reset the metabolism, we start a new meal plan and new behaviors, exercise programs, depending again on the test result. We start certain supplements. We try to fix problems because if there is a lot of inflammation, usually you have to calm that down and people don't lose weight when they're inflamed. And nobody talked about
Right.
this in traditional medicine. And
Well, that's interesting.
yeah,
So you're telling me that if you have inflammation, you can't lose weight. Explain that to me. That sounds interesting.
yes, because when you're inflamed, your body is going to produce a lot of hormones that are not in favor of losing weight, like cortisol, for example. And
Right.
then sugars may go up, you feel more tired, and your body is trying to deal with that. Let's, destroy some
The
free
toxins in your
radicals.
system.
Right.
Right.
And then your gut, if your gut is inflamed, you're not going to absorb all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you need from food. You're not going to eliminate all the toxins that have to be eliminated. And you may have leaky gut on top of it. That causes more
Yeah.
inflammation and
Wow.
antibodies against your own cells from certain bacteria. So it's a vicious cycle. And then in the gut, you produce certain hormones, right? Like serotonin and melatonin and GLP-1. And if your gut inflamed, you are not going to produce that. And then you get depressed. And it's a vicious cycle that people
Wow.
get into and they don't know
Sounds to
what
me,
hit them.
sounds to me a very important part of your puzzle is that with because I've heard about inflammation causing a whole lot of problems, and oftentimes that is a root cause. Like there's a root to that inflammation that we don't intrinsically address, and we're living these lifestyles, or we're doing these things, and sometimes we even think we're doing the right thing, right?
Mhm.
And we have this things going on inside that we don't know, and inflammation could quite be one of the things that's a driving factor for people not losing weight. And by addressing that, that could change everything, right? Like that's huge.
Huge. It's huge. It's
Wow.
huge. Because when
So
Mhm.
carry on, carry on.
when you don't feel good, when you're inflamed, like joints can be inflamed, you're in pain, you're not gonna do anything, you're not gonna exercise. We-
Yeah.
So everything goes down. You had, gut is,
You feel lethargic,
yeah,
all those things. And so in your Root to Radiance program, you're allowing or showing them how to do the right types of testing. Then you're creating a roadmap for them to build a better lifestyle. And in that roadmap, you're giving them clarity on the things they can do and simplifying it so that people get a real good idea of how to live a better life. What comes to mind here is that there's a whole lot of mindset stuff around this as well, right? Because if you want to change your life, oftentimes we have these things going on in our head, these voices or the doubts or whatever it is that stops us from having a better life. Talk to us a little bit, because I know you dive into this quite a bit about mindset. Speak a bit about that for a minute in your program or your process, Route to Radiance.
Yes, mindset is everything. We all know that placebo effect is never zero.
Wow.
Mindset is so important. Without the right mindset, nothing will work. And we get rid of the limiting beliefs, all these paradigms that we have, all of us have some, because if we didn't have any limiting beliefs, we would be totally accomplished, right? From all points of view. But we all have
Yeah.
some limiting beliefs, and it depends on how they interfere with our health, our weight loss, or whatever is going on in one person's life. And we go through a coaching with that. We change the mindset. We figure out what you were taught as a child or how you were raised, what limiting beliefs are there and their origin. And we get rid of them. And we build two new beliefs. It's almost like a dream builder, because we can definitely achieve everything that we want, everything that we our minds do, as long as we
Yeah.
have the right tools. Everybody is transformed. I mean, one of my patients said, I can't believe even my whole family dynamic changed. You're not influencing just that patient, but through the mindset change, it's a whole family. It makes me so happy, so fulfilled to
Okay.
see that.
So good. So obviously, we've got bio root causes, right? So the things that we're doing in our body. And then we've got these mindset root causes that limit our growth or cause us not to have the life that we're trying to live, it, a fulfilled life. So talk to me a little bit about how you find the root cause, how you work with people in this mindset space to help them find breakthroughs. Because this is very, for me, it's huge, right? If I were to come to you, I was sitting down and I was struggling with stuff. I wanted to, first of all, I'm coming to get results, right? You've taken me through this testing process. You've now discovered there's things in my diet, things in my lifestyle, things in my world around me that I can improve on. I'm afraid to take action, or I'm struggling to do the thing, or I'm struggling to be disciplined. Are you going to take me into that world where I can kind of feel confident about myself? I can stick with the program. How does that all work?
Well, we build that confidence. We figure out exactly what stops you from achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve. The first step toward doing, or you're procrastinating or you fall back. What's the root cause of that? And you kind of peel it like 7 times. Why this? And then why? And a lot of people actually celebrated or were punished. The punishments and the celebrations contributed to these behaviors. When they were celebrating, they were given cake or whatever dessert or food they liked, right? And they
Right.
feel like every time they feel good about something or they are with coworkers, they have to celebrate with something sweet. And the other thing is that a lot of people were in childhood and as young adults um, were maybe with very parents, and they were never allowed to say no. And they were punished. Oh, you don't get this because you're not a good person. And
Right.
and that translated into no boundaries. I can't set any boundaries. And I say yes to everybody. So sure, if somebody invites me out and they're going for a pizza, I it doesn't matter what meal plan I'm on, I'm gonna go with them because I need to please those people. Or I go to a
Yes.
party, I cannot say no to my aunt who baked my favorite cake. Or So the people pleaser problem is it's very common, and especially for women, it's huge, and it interferes with a lot of things in their life and in their health. So it's very limiting. So those are
Wow, that's so interesting.
examples.
So some people try and do things themselves all the time, right? They're like, I can fix myself up. I can do this. I can work through this. I'm tough. But thing from my experience anyway, personally, is that it's so much easier to work with somebody or work with an expert that can help you guide you through this path so much quicker and easier. It sounds so simple. The analogy you were talking about is asking the 7 whys, right? And I know that if I had one of my best friends sitting here asking me a whole series of whys, if we were not going to get to the root cause of stuff, 100%, versus sitting with somebody who's an expert that knows how to differentiate and get into the depth of that and really understand where a person is and how to find those root causes, those real root causes, to then give them the tools to then deal with those mindset things, right? That's probably very important, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we all need mentors at any level. I think every billionaire has a mentors, right? We all need somebody to learn from. And in medicine, it's funny because a lot of people say, will you try fix your car? If you open the hood, do you know what's in that engine? So if you're not trying to fix your car or do the plumbing in your house, why would you try to fix yourself? Your body is much more complicated and with much more implications if something goes wrong. So it's very important to find out the truth, the right way, and have the right management of the problems so that you live, again, healthy, because I truly believe that health is our wealth.
Yeah, totally. That's so good. In a little bit of this whole context of helping ladies in their ages between 30 and 50, what is a big message you could send out there to give some thought around this or give some inspiration around this so that they can find a better way forward with their health and understanding functional medicine and, living a better life?
First of all, remember that we have one life, that you cannot buy back time. And I wish I knew about functional medicine even, 15, 20 years ago. But if you are given the gift of knowing exactly how your body works and you can design your health, not leave it up to chance, you take it and run with it. It's so important to avoid frustration, suffering, time, of course, and money, and know from the beginning that you did everything in your power, everything that you could to live a healthy life. Because later on, there's nothing worse than having regret, I think. Why didn't I do this? I should have done it. When a disease sets in, we all think, why didn't I do it? Why wait? We don't know our future. Tomorrow is not for certain, right? We only have today. So make that decision today and take really a very good look at functional medicine to go to the root of anything that you feel, to know exactly how your body works so that you can live a healthy life, to know that you did everything possible for yourself.
Wow, so good. Love that message. Thank you so much. We only have so much time to live and to do the best we can. I think a big message from what I'm hearing is know your body, find out. Knowledge is power, right? We spend so many years doing things without actually understanding how our body works. And when you go through that process of learning the makeup and what are the 3 key things you need to be consuming and doing to live a better, healthier, thinner life, like that's huge. Like it's so amazing. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does the future look like for you? Like, what are the next steps for you in this whole, movement of helping ladies. I think some of the big things I've taken away from this is understanding inflammation, right? Getting a real handle on that, knowing your body, getting crystal clear on what it is your body's doing, how those hormones are affecting you, what you can do about it from a functional medicine perspective, healthy, clean, and finally, understanding and learning what are the mindset root causes that you have that you can let go of so that you can live that fulfilled life. What does that future look like for you, and how are you helping people to make that change and transformation? Because those are huge, huge messages.
Well, my goal is to impact 1 million people's lives, directly or indirectly. So I am doing one-on-one programs right now, but I will transition to group sessions because I think the more people find out about this and the more people become healthy, the word will spread. And we also build a legacy because our children, right, do what they see, not what we tell them to do. And obesity is it's a pandemic in the world, not just US. And we have so many tests and tools available to deal with this, to help people, that it's a sin not to, not to do everything possible to build the awareness. The awareness is everything. So many people don't know about these tests, about functional medicine. They think is, this food in, that medication in, and I don't know why things happen. It's just meant to be. It's in my genes. My mom had the same thing. It's my environment. It's my job. No, no. Your mom could have had the same problem for different genetic reasons or different reasons altogether. And we're not just doomed. We just have to make the right choices by knowing everything. We don't know what we don't know.
So good. Love that. And so awareness is everything. Knowledge is power. And like you just said, we have got so much amazing technology available to us these days. There should not be any excuse for being able to improve your life because of the vast amount of knowledge that we've learned over the last even decade. Talk to me about what are the new advancements or what are some of the new things that are coming up in the horizon with functional medicine that you're excited about?
They're talking about literally having genetic testing detect, like the guide for every treatment that people take. There is already genetic called MedCheck, which tells us exactly what medications, if a person needs medications, because everything, of course, it's important for some people in certain cases. So you find out exactly what works, what type of medication works. So I think the genetics is biggest reason for excitement in the future. And more tests are developed and more personalized approaches from every point of view. And having also sets of very comprehensive tests available in one place, easy to order and easy to do. Another big advancement in functional medicine. And the third is imaging, non-invasive, no radiation involved, MRI imaging of the whole body to catch anything very early on and be able to prevent problems. So
Oh, wow.
take very comprehensive blood tests in one place, and then preventive MRI, so to speak. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Wow. So the world has changed so fast over the last even 10 years. It's crazy to think all of the stuff that's coming out. And we're living in such an exciting time. The rate of knowledge is growing so fast. And as I said, there's no reason for us not to be able to live great lives because we've got so much available. The problem is that we get so caught up in the distractions of this world, get drawn into the noise of the people around us quite often, and not taking or pursuing. I think there's a big roadblock for a lot of people these days. I've really enjoyed this conversation because functional medicine is really important. It's become a big thing in my life, thinking about how to live better, live healthier, keep on top of my weight. And it's not, once you have the roadmap, right? When like I went to spoke to a professional like you, and once you have that roadmap, it's easy to maintain over the years and years and years because you have clarity, you have a roadmap, you know what your body can and can't do, you understand the depth of it, and when you do something wrong, like you go on a binge, you eat a whole lot of pies of cakes or whatever, it's okay. You know how to reset and get back on track,
Yeah.
and so you can live in the future as well, right? It's not just like, oh, it's a 12-week program and then you lose some weight and then you're back in square one, right? It's a whole lifestyle shift. And the depth of that is so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing all that stuff with us today. So if somebody wants to come and get a hold of you, if somebody wants to learn more, do some work with you so that they can break through all these barriers, they can really understand their body through the genetic testing, because it's not just doing the testing. You have to read that information and know how to create a roadmap, and then breaking through these mindset blockages and prevent people from really having that fulfilled. They want to come and speak to you. How would they go about doing that?
So they can go to my website, catalinagrija.com, CATALINAGRIJA.com, and they can book an appointment, discovery calls to find out exactly, to talk about what they have, what their problem is, and if we're a good fit. And they can also call, my office is in Oak Park, Illinois, near Chicago. And
So if they come and speak to you, if they connect with you, would you take people through this testing process? Would that be a great way to start the conversation? Like, let's go and get you tested up and figure out where you're at with your whole body dynamic.
right. So we do a full consultation once somebody wants to go through the process, wants to be evaluated to find out everything about themselves. And then we order the test. And usually we have all the results within a month. They do take 2 to 3 weeks to arrive. And after that, we
Right.
make a plan and, give them the roadmap. And then we follow through, because obviously you achieve a goal, you make another one, and you change according to the protocols, depending on what problems they have. And
Right.
we follow through for 4 to 6 months, depending on the program. And some people stay in maintenance program after that because they just love the accountability and the
Right.
mindset
So
sessions.
not only are you helping people discover, get breakthrough with clarity, but you're also supporting them with accountability in the back to
So
give them, so they know they're being supported with like-minded people. And in a cool, I'm assuming you got a community of people that you're working with.
yes, we do.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it so much. All right, guys, we'll put the links in the show notes. Be sure to check out Dr. Grija's approach. And if any of you out there that are listening, that want to have some real breakthroughs in their lives, I would highly suggest going and doing that basic testing, understand your genetics, understanding your bloods, understanding what your body is saying, and listen to your body. And then you can fix it all up and make your life so much better. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Matthew. It's been a wonderful time. And I hope that everybody hears the message loud and clear.
Fantastic.